The issue of Judaism and Zionism is the subject we're going to talk about with God's help. Judaism is a religion of thousands of years. Judaism is the covenant that the Jews accepted upon themselves on Mount Sinai. It is the subservience to the Almighty. It is the acceptance of 613 commandments of the Torah. We always like to point out that according to the Jewish belief, all humanity is created by God. All humanity must believe that God gave Moses the Torah, and that in the Torah it states that one should believe in the one God, not serve idol worshipry, not to kill, not to steal, not to commit adultery, and to have a court system, and not to eat from an animal while it's still shaking, even if it was just killed. So there's a few basic interesting laws. It's called the seven mitzvahs, the 7 commandments of Noah. This is something that is for the entire world, and we believe that anybody who upholds these laws, the prophet Elijah wrote in his book, Tana Devel Yo, and Maimonides wrote in his book, that a person who upholds these commandments is a righteous individual and will inherit the world to come. There is no question about that. One does not have to be Jewish to be accepted by God, and the Jewish people have always coexisted with others with this understanding. Judaism, though, as I said, is the acceptance of the 613 commandments of the Torah. That means that in the Torah it states we must be totally subservient and accept all the laws of the Torah, and that is what it means to be a Jewish person, and if not, we're, God forbid, a sinner. The Jewish people upheld this set of laws throughout their time since it was given on Mount Sinai a few thousand years ago. We were given the land of the Holy Land, and God told us, as it's read in the Torah, that the people, the Canaanites, were being sent out of the land because they defiled the land. They served idol worshipry. And we were told that we must remain on a high level of holiness in order to be able to live there in the Holy Land. If we aren't remaining on that high level, we will be sent into exile. And that is exactly what came about to the Jewish people. They were sent into exile. Exile means the banishment by God from the Holy Land. But let us regress again, because I just want to first touch on the basic of what Zionism is. Zionism is the transformation of the subservience of a Jewish person to the Almighty, of the acceptance that a Jewish person accepts that his whole life will be to perform the God's commandments, that God is the equation, and Zionism comes along and it transforms that. It says that no, Judaism is materialism, Judaism is nationalism, a goal to have a piece of land. It's totally the diametric opposite. It's the contradiction of what it means to be a Jew. The concept of having a land, a materialism, a nationalism, was brought through people who were themselves people who estranged themselves from God and His Torah. Theodor Herzl, Ben Gurion, Chaim Weizmann, Jabotinsky, all these people detested God, all these people detested all the laws of the Torah, and they were not satisfied with only leaving the Torah. These fathers of the movement of the ideology of Zionism wanted to, feel they were driven by Satan, they wanted to uproot from the hearts of the Jew what it means to be a Jew, the connection to God. Judaism is no more, God forbid, according to them, is no more the covenant, the acceptance of the commandments of God. It means materialism, to have a nation, to have a strong army, to have a strong Olympic team. Not to be ashamed of the prowess, not to be ashamed of the accomplishments and the victories of Italy, of France, of the US. This is what Zionism is. And this is apropos for people who have a life that is an empty shell, that they are not connected to God, and that is what Zionism was. Obviously, Zionism, in this form, Zionism, this ideology, is something which was opposed by any and every Jewish religious community throughout the world, and by their rabbinical, their leaders, which was the rabbis, because this is not what it means to be a Jew. They fought this tooth and nail, this ideology, which was created a little over 100 years ago. Remember, Judaism is thousands of years. Zionism was created only a little over 100 years. And they fought this, but not only is the concept, the ideology of Zionism in opposition to the Torah, in action, what they took in order to reach this goal of having a land is in every aspect, in every facet, a rebellion against God, a breach and totally rebelling against all God's commandments. For instance, in the Torah, it says, "Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal." It says that we must emulate God. Just as God is compassionate, we must be compassionate. Now Zionism comes along and decides to create a state. First they wanted to create their national home in Uganda because they really were looking to further themselves from God. But these people were practical, and when they understood and they discussed in their meetings in Basel and Switzerland in 1897 and the other meetings they had, and they discussed that if they'll try to just make their national home in some fruitful land, who will support them? So they changed their plan, and they said, we will go to Palestine, and we will wave the Bible, and we will say, see, this is the land that was given to us by God, and we are going to now retake it. Basically, being that these people were godless, and they didn't have the morals of the Torah, they had no compunctions in pulling a con job, a total falsification of the truth. These people detested religion, and yet they put on this facade of religion. They stole the identity of Judaism, the Star of David. They hijacked the name of the Jews. It's the state of Israel. Israel is Jacob in the Torah. And all in order to gain legitimacy and gain support from the evangelistic Christians and from the Jews around the world who are unfortunately not knowledgeable in their teaching in the Torah. And they knew that Jews always knew we yearned to return to the Holy Land. They knew these people, they'll be able to can and get them to back them in the taking of the land. So the first thing is they changed their plans from going to Uganda or Rochester or Patagonia, which they wanted next to Argentina, and they decided they'll take Palestine. And the fact that there was people living there, that it was an inhabited land, contrary to their mantra that it was a land without a people for a people without a land. No, Palestine, the majority of people living in Palestine were the Muslim community, and then there was the Christian community and the Jewish community. This Jewish community that was living there was a minority, but a very religious Jewish community, and they all opposed this takeover, this despicable, selfish, evil takeover of the land from the Palestinian people. And that we will mention, we will talk about. I will just show you what the rabbis said about this Zionism. But before we get into that, we want you to know that Jews around the world today, and without any break in history, from the day the Zionists came up to Palestine, the Jewish communities, the truly religious communities, the Jews, our hearts are rent and we cry and we feel the suffering of the people of Palestine, the people of Gaza. We feel we are humiliated because it is being done in our name. As I said, our identity is hijacked. And we oppose this. It is against God. It is forbidden. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not kill. And it's just logical that all the very religious communities should oppose, and so is that the ones who are true to Judaism around the world oppose it. The more the religious the community, the more they oppose it.